Hi there everyone, Laurel here with the Blitsy creative team, and today I'm here to introduce to you a new product by Ken Oliver. It's called Color Bursts, and I'm going to show you how I made these three backgrounds here, and here's the first one. These are very unique. I saw little sneak videos and little demos from the CHA in January over on the Blitsy YouTube channel, so I knew that I wanted these babies as soon as I saw them. They are so unique. They come in these 6 different colors, and these are actually filled with powder. That's not liquid, it's powder. And I have nicknamed, after playing with them, they are powders with power. Powders with power. I'm not kidding you. These suckers are filled with some seriously high concentrated pigmented power. They are super neat. So I wanted to create one background with an embossed background here. So I chose a very busy background floral stamp here. So I inked it up with some Versamark ink. I am going to sprinkle on some clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that. And then we are going to add those color bursts, and this embossed background here is going to resist the color burst. I wanted to try this at first to show you how it really reacted to something with a very busy background, so it was very easy to see. So I'm going to go in with just 2 colors here. Now I will go ahead and, full disclosure, these are somewhat messy. So beware. So I went ahead and spritzed my watercolor panel with water, and I just squeezed out a little bit of that powder, and look at that. Look how much, a little tiny bit goes a long way. A little bit goes a long way. And these are very intense colors. These are very, like I said before, they're very concentrated, and it's a powder. So it's not liquid. So these go on as a powder, and then they react to the water. You can either add your water down first, like I did, or you can add your powder and then go in and add your water. But I like to see it work in this order. I don't know why. So I'm even going in and kind of dipping in some of the color into what was left on my craft sheet. I'm working off of a Tim Holtz craft sheet because it's very easy cleanup. This is my work surface for everything. I have 3 of these. So I'm going to go in and dry this with a heat gun. I was interested to see if as it dried, it lightened up. I wanted to know if it did, rather, and it does not. These colors are very intense, and I found that out of all the colors, the purple and the red are the most intense of all the colors. So I thought this was fascinating. So I'm going to set that aside and clean up my area. Now all this wiped away with the wet wipe. These are water-soluble pigment powders, so they clean up with water. I'm using a wet wipe here. So now I wanted to go in and do this again. Again, watercolored cardstock. I'm using a coffee stamp set from the Tim Holtz Stamper Anonymous line, the blueprint line here. And I'm going to ink that up again with Versamark. This time I'm going to go on with some white embossing powder, whereas before I did clear embossing powder. I wanted to see if there's any difference whatsoever. So I've sprinkled that on. I'm going to heat set that with my heat tool, and then we're going to go in and add some more of that color. So I did get some embossing powder where I didn't want it. If that ever happens to you, just take a dry brush and kind of brush that away. So I'm going in, again, heat setting this. And then I'm going to go in with the yellow first. Now it's a little powdery. What I'm doing is I'm taking the bottle and I'm just giving it little squeezes. And what the squeezes does is obviously it takes the air and kind of pushes it out the tip there. So I'm going to try to, for this instance, I wanted to kind of secure it down to a cutting board because I wanted to see if I could create drip marks. So I've got some painter's tape here. I'm just going to kind of put it on the back of my card and put it on my cutting board and see if I can get it to just stay in place so I can easily pick up that handle and move my paper around. So again, I squirted that whole base with water, and here I am just squeezing out some of that powder. Then I've got the handle of my cutting board here, and I'm just moving it to create these drip marks. It's just fantastic. But anytime you add water to any cardstock, your cardstock is going to start to kind of, you can see it curling and warping a little bit. So, but that's okay. We can flatten that out later. So I'm going back in with this purple. I did not put a lot down this time. I purposely put just a tiny little bit down, and look how intense that color gets. It's just fascinating. I just love it. And then you see up at the top where the purple and the yellow met each other, it created green for me. So you can mix and match and make your own colors just like you could with any kind of color. So I'm going to go in and dry this with a heat tool. Again, this is water soluble powder, so I cleaned up my cutting board with a wet wipe very easily. But I did find it was hard to control, you know, obviously when you add the water and you add the watercolor, I can't control how it's going to fall off my card and fall into my work surface, which is why I use a Tim Holtz craft sheet and why I keep a rag near me at all times. So now I thought I would create one background with no embossed image on it whatsoever. This is just a blank piece of watercolored cardstock. Now I'm going in with a shoebox to see if I can contain it better this way. So I squirted it again with water, and I'm going in and squeezing in some of that blue. Then I'm going to go in with some red. I figured I'd make some kind of patriotic background here. So I've got the red and the blue, just pushed out some of that powder. Now I'm going in and creating little drips. Instead of spraying it all together, I wanted drip marks. If you don't have a mister or anything that can create drip marks, just grab a paintbrush and just kind of flick on some water like I just did. I wanted to see if, in fact, they would make these really cool water splotches, and it did. So I thought this was super cool. Now, working in this old shoebox definitely contained the mess more. So you can see I tried 3 different methods. This was the easiest way for me if you want to contain your mess. As far as cleaning it off my hands, I have a craft scrubby. You can also use like a little pumice stone, and it comes right off your hands. But again, these are really intense colors. Again, I'm calling them the powder with power because they got a lot of oomph in that little tiny container of watercolor power. It's just fascinating. So again, these are Ken Oliver color bursts. They're over at Blitsy right now. They are super stinking cool, I gotta say. So head on over to Blitsy and grab some up before they're gone. Thanks for watching.